Hey everybody, hope y'all are having a good day out there. Today, I wanted to talk about this guy right here, Marek J3nkins. As usual, sorry in advance for screwing up the name. Marek is the CEO of CI Games, an independent studio and publisher based in Poland. They are most notable for Lords of the Fallen and Sniper Ghost Warrior, a couple of franchises that I am quite fond of. In fact, before we get into it, goes without saying, but usually these games are on sale, and you guys should definitely check them out because they're a good time. There's gonna be some footage of them in this video. So, something really funny just happened to this dude, and so I wanted to share this story and go over it because basically it's two birds with one stone. We'll have some laughs, expose some nonsense, and give some recognition to a studio and a person in the industry that is actually doing good work. Just as a reminder though, if you find yourself enjoying the video, consider dropping a like and maybe subscribe for more Portuguese spices in the future. Seriously guys, please subscribe. I'm going through a really tough time here because of Donald Trump's DEI cuts. One of the things that the USAID thing was supporting over here in Portugal through the United States Embassy in Lisbon was a DEI concert that we were going to have with American taxpayer money. And now, since, you know, the funding's been cut, it's been cancelled. And I have no idea what to do with myself and my pronouns.
You can't keep getting away with it!
But anyway, let's not waste any more time and get right into it. So, long story short, Marek J3nkins got banned by Reddit moderators from his own game subreddit. And the reason for that the Reddit moderators gave was that it was because he's a fascist, and he was spreading very dangerous fascism in there. This is serious stuff. Hey, stop laughing. This isn't a joke, guys. Now, some of you may be listening to this and going, duh, Daz, it's Reddit moderators, what did you expect? But you gotta understand one thing, I am not like a Reddit kind of guy, so I had no idea that it was filled with that it was filled with highly concerned social individuals. So I actually thought it was the other way around. But anyway, let me read what they put in the ban announcement. Addressing the CEO of CI Games' politically motivated agenda, direct links to X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram are no longer permitted. God damn, they're getting rid of Facebook in there too? How the turntables. The CEO of CI Games, Marek J3nkins, is actively supporting and promoting fascist ideology under the guise of catering to the player base. As a moderation team, along with many gamers worldwide, we are deeply shocked and disgusted by the events of the past few weeks. Oh my goodness, I wonder what happened in the last few weeks. This is such a scandal. In response, we have removed all of CI Games and Hexworks officials from the moderation team. However, we want to make it clear that those removed are honorable and decent individuals, and we have nothing but respect for them. Why the f did you ban them then? What is this? We think you're great, however, get the f out of my subreddit of your game. Every interaction we have had with them since the game's launch has been nothing short of extraordinary. Unfortunately, this decision affects the wrong people. They say this as if it's like not them making the decision, like it's being forced on them or something. Our concerns are directed solely at the CEO and, at this time, no one else. Correction, it's actually at the CEO, everyone else that they just got rid of because of being attached to the CEO, and any member that has been questioning this ban or calling it total bullshit. Over the past several weeks and months, we've seen a significant increase in hate speech, misconduct, and violations of what? What the f is this? Reddicate? Oh god, they have their own little word for this? Wow. Anyway, Reddicate, whenever content from these platforms is shared. Additionally, we have experienced an influx of users spreading fascist views, both on the subreddit and via mod mail. Let us be clear, we do not tolerate any violations of our behavior rules, nor do we condone or support fascist ideology. Anyone engaging in such misconduct will face a permanent ban. You can find our subreddit rules here or in the sidebar. Well, alrighty then, lovely. So obviously they have provided no examples whatsoever of anything fascist that was actually spewed in there. There is no increase in no such thing. What there is an increase in people speaking their mind objectively, which is something that people like this can handle. Anything at all that can be considered wrongthink by them immediately puts you on the shit list. All you gotta do is ask these people for directions, and they have to go through your entire social media history just to make sure that you're someone who it is appropriate to give directions to.
Oh shit.
Beyond that, they also banned all screenshots from these social media spaces because of course they can't verify their authenticity, as if authenticity has ever been anything that these people are worried about, when to this day they will tell it to your face that government and corporate funded DEI initiatives and programs don't fucking exist. Even now with the USA thing, they're still able to look at it and be like, no, this doesn't exist, this is all a big conspiracy theory, they're making it all up. And of course naturally they advertise Blue Sky as the great alternative to X, stating that many users and outlets have already made the switch, but we know precisely what kinds of users have made that switch and tout Blue Sky as this amazing sanctuary. It is essentially a haven for the far left to stick their heads into the sand, feed into each other's echo chambers, and stay away from any dissenting information or opinions, coping endlessly with wild claims that everyone else is a fascist instead of accepting the reality that what happened is that they pushed too far in certain things, and now normal, regular, everyday people have reached their limit and are pushing back on the lunacy, which is essentially what happened with the CEO, although it does get way funnier when you actually read what it is that he was posting on social media. So, what is it that Marek Tymiński did? Going back to that post, they said that he was actively supporting and promoting fascist ideology under the guise of catering to the player base, and that they are deeply shocked and disgusted by the events of the past few weeks. Well, I don't know quite how to put this, but what Marek Tymiński did was he started making polls over on his profile, gauging the community with certain questions to see what exactly is it that people want, essentially to get an idea through these polls as to where people's heads are at in some regards to some things, some of which are in regards to politics injected into the games industry, which is a very important thing to get right when describing this, because he's not polling people on politics, he's not asking people who the they voted for or what are their views on policies or while trying to rile up a certain side as these moderators imply. What he's doing is just making polls with questions that are related to certain matters that have become political within the games industry, honestly within the entertainment industry in general and other areas of society over the last few years, because far left activism became the standard, not just through letting in activists into the industry but also by forcing diversity, equity and inclusion programs and initiatives into the media that's being produced and the very company structures and philosophies themselves, focusing a little too much on trying to make games be more than just video games, to be vehicles for socio-political impact, to be canvases within which to slowly propagandize people. So obviously, when he made this poll here, for example, which was a big one that went pretty viral, asking people if in a medieval fantasy action RPG experience they would prefer to choose between body type A and body type B, or male or female, or none of the above. It was obviously not because he's taking a jab at identity politics and bringing it into the space, it was because the identity politics have already been injected into the industry. Most games that release now come with body type A and B nonsense, or appearance A and appearance B. Hell, even remakes of old games like Dragon Quest 1 and 2 get updated for a modern audience, and the developers are forced to put body type instead of male and female in order for the game to be sold out here in the West. The Japanese developers even spoke out in an interview and complained about not just this, but even in regards to uglified characters, and then Square Enix chased that interview down and deleted it from the internet because the message was not approved. Even games most people on the internet would call based as like Elden Ring, already had this language built into it. And it's so retarded too, because like, we can clearly see that these body types are referring to male and female, because of the shapes of the bodies. But for some reason, the overwhelmingly vast majority of the planet has to put up with this garbage being put into games because of a stupid-ass minority of non-gamers that companies still keep choosing to pander to. Even the concept itself is nonsensical and malicious. Nonsensical because this is supposed to like appeal to this idea that there are genders beyond male and female, so you'd think that they'd add a fucking body type C and D in there too? Hell, maybe even a body type E. But no, it's still just two. It's still just a binary choice. So I don't even know if non-binary people even like this kind of shit. I mean, this is obviously being put in there for them, but at the same time, I wonder what they actually think about it, because it's still a binary. And it's malicious because it's not even an optional thing to add onto these games. It's not like players who want to play as male and female still have that option there, and no, it's instead replacing male and female. It is deliberately trying to tell you that male and female is wrong, outdated, offensive, and must be done away with in replacement of gender non-conforming labels. Naturally, most people voted for male and female. Imagine the fucking shock. And the studio actually followed through and rolled out a patch taking out the body type nonsense and reinstating male and female. And at the end of the day, this is really just very telling in regards to this whole situation. It's that nobody has ever bothered to think about this kind of stuff in reality. Nobody has ever bothered to actually think about the fact that most people don't like this. Most people don't have any issue with seeing male and female, and people don't like having this ideology trying to change it. And this ideology just kind of rolled up, charged in money, right? Because it's through money that this has happened. It's because of money, it's because of ESG that these things have been put into games and other types of media. So these governments and these corporations bullshit these people, right? They tell them that yes, the world is changing, you are now being acknowledged, yes, of course, you're non-binary, everyone will have to conform to it, and we will force them to, because we're going to put all of this shit all over media, all over society. We're going to put it everywhere through the power of ESG. And now, of course, things go too far, they cross too many lines, the pendulum sorta starts to edge a little bit this way, right? It went too far one way, now it's coming back, people are rejecting this. At the end of the day, when it comes to money, you know, Disney, video games that went super hard on this kind of thing, failed, landed on their fucking heads. So when it comes to funding, it's also at a point where it's like some companies don't even want to keep funding this anymore, or at least not that hard, although many of them are still going to keep at it. We haven't seen the last of it. But the point is that in the middle of this awakening, people start rejecting these obvious things that they've always rejected in the back of their minds. They just didn't have the platform to speak out against it. And now these people who were accustomed to this stuff are feeling sad and alone and targeted and afraid, and are calling everything that goes against their little worldview fascism, without even realizing that their side for this whole time was the one actually engaging in fascism stuff by wanting to censor or silence any opposing views and opinions and forcing their ideology on everyone else around them through entertainment, social media, news, corporate, education, etc. But anyway, sorry about that rant, let's get back to Marek Tymiński, the enemy of the state. He doesn't just do polls like these, he also does a bunch of other polls that are just purely game related. For example, he has this one where he asks the community, how should attractive male characters look in action RPGs? Stylish and dashing got 9.8% of the votes, followed by just an everyday guy with 12.6%, followed by I'm here for the gameplay with 26.5%, and finally the victor, rugged and badass, with 51.1%. No provocative language, no demeaning adjectives, no political leanings, just a genuine question as to what people think characters should look like, including the option to say, I don't care, just give me the gameplay. He also has one asking people what they think about invasions in Souls-like games. Would they rather have them fully optional, forced, balanced, or if they just didn't care? Another one asking whether people think Souls-like games should have difficulty modes or not, which was relatively split, which was surprising to me. Another one asking about attractive lead female characters in action RPGs. Cute and playful got 7.6%, classy and beautiful with Classy and Beautiful had 26.3%, and Sexy and Provocative had 27.4%. And the victor, with the most votes, was actually I Don't Care, I'm Here for the Gameplay. Besides this, he had one statement promising gamers that their games would be staying away from DEI elements, which has absolutely nothing wrong with it whatsoever. The irony in this kind of thing is that these people say that there is no such thing as forced diversity, yet if a developer voices that they're opting out of DEI elements, then they get banned from their own subreddit and called fascists. And it's also funny that, you have people going, there is no such thing as DEI. DEI doesn't exist. It's a conspiracy theory. So it's, oh my god, it's just such a fucking clown show. First, it doesn't exist. Then it exists, but it's not forced. And in both fucking cases, it doesn't exist. Hey, I'm not doing DEI in my game. Or if it doesn't exist, then if I'd be like, well, yeah. What? You're not doing what? What are you not doing? You're not doing DEI? It doesn't exist, bro. Why are you even saying that you're not doing DEI? Nobody's doing DEI. There is no DEI in video games. So, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, bro. Or in the other case, it's like, hey, guys, DEI, there's no forced DEI, there's DEI, but there's no forced DEI, okay, guys? And the guy just goes, hey, everybody, we are not going to do forced DEI in our video games elements, okay? And then you just lose your shit, like, why are you not fucking putting it in? Why are you not putting it in? You need to put it in right now. Put it in right now. I'm not putting it in, bro. Okay, you're not putting it in? Fuck, I'm taking away your subreddit. I'm taking away your subreddit. You know your game subreddit? You can't go in there anymore. It's mine now. Should have put DEI in the fucking game, bucko. Always remember, guys, it doesn't exist, and you should be ashamed for thinking otherwise. You're a chud. If you think that this exists, you are a chud. But also, don't you fucking dare speak negatively about it or opting out of it for your games or your company. It's just like the guy from Space Marines 2. He also spoke out. He didn't mention DEI by name, but he did say that he didn't like elements of like trying to lecture players in his video games. His video games, he just wants to make them fun. Fun gameplay, glory kills, etc. And the media had a fucking meltdown about it. Kept trying to pick at him like, hey, are you going to respond to your terrible thing that you said? You said very terrible thing, very, very toxic, very outright thing that you said, Mr. CEO. Are you going to reply? Are you going to respond to your comments? And then he didn't, which was actually the smartest thing for him to do, to not engage further and let it all die down and let the game speak for itself. But it's just such an absurdity when people actually try that narrative of like, no, everything is fine. This industry, there is no agenda in this industry. You're just delusional, chud. You're being influenced and manipulated by the YouTube grifters, chud. Hey, what are those game journalists doing over there? Don't look at them, chud. Stop looking at the game journalists. Let them do their thing. They're not doing anything, okay, chud? Well, what about the company over there? Where's that company over there doing? What's that big bag of money coming out of that truck that says BlackRock? What's that company they're doing over there, huh? Mind your own business, chud. It's got nothing to do with it, chud. Anyway, beyond that, he also just has like questions, asking people what are people's top 3 favorite things from Lords of the Fallen that they would like to see carried over to their next game, and then thanking everyone for their comments, as well as urging people to leave their feedback, positive or negative, on Steam reviews as it helps them improve. Like, what the fuck are these losers' problems with this guy? He's literally doing the one thing that more CEOs, directors, and lead developers should be doing: asking the community what it is that they want, polling people, getting an idea of where people's heads are at when it comes to their communities, and then making decisions with that feedback in mind. Doesn't mean that they have to copy everything that the feedback says, doesn't even mean that it's going to lead to an ultra success, but it is better than nothing, and it is very good to at least gauge on what it is that people dislike the most and like the most. This takes me back to that thing with _nkins video, one of the creators of Fallout. If you haven't watched the video, I made a video responding to one of his videos that said that developers don't know what gamers want because gamers don't know what gamers want, and so then developers don't know what to give them. Well, shit, how about you just ask people? How about you come up with well thought out, structured questions that are going to actually give you the kind of feedback that you need? Obviously, _nkins doesn't need to ask if we'd like to have fucking skateboarding mechanics in our next medieval fantasy action RPG, which, by the way, you should definitely put in. but he can get a lot by just getting an idea of the things that people like the most, and most importantly the things that people hate, the kind of garbage that nobody wants, such as contemporary political nonsense. And another thing that he did, which was actually very incredibly fascistic for these idiots, was this post last year, where he said that in response to ongoing industry conversation, they updated one of their core company values from diversity and inclusion to equality of opportunity. Now obviously I've spoken before about how I don't like when companies try to rename DEI into other terms, or using other terms in general for this concept of wokeness or socio-cultural Marxism, but this is an example of another big thing that I speak in my videos, which is intentions. If your intentions when changing the term DEI in your company is just to hide that shit so that it's harder for people to find it on a website or a job application, then it's obviously bad, and it's not even going to work in the long run, because you may hide the name, but you can never hide the ideology, and it will absolutely be reflected in the content of your work or the very decisions that you make in your company. But if your intentions when changing the term DEI is to actually change that core value into a much better and progressive one, then that's actually good, and it will be noticeable too. And we can see that the intentions were good here, because there's no way that someone trying to simply hide their DEI shit would poll the community asking them if they want body type A and B or if they want male and female, and then actually going through with the decision that the community made in a patch. Equality and equality of opportunity are truly good and progressive values that these companies should have, where their hiring process is non-discriminatory. It is simply in regards to who fits better for the job, regardless of their race, gender, or sexuality. And the funny thing is that even without a DEI program, CI Games' 160 employees are composed of 23 nationalities across a wide range of ethnicities, ages, genders, and sexual orientations. So, diversity, while not necessary for the functioning of a studio, is assured anyway. And the last mistake that Mr. J3nkins did was going live with Vara Dark and having a chat with her. This was a massive blow to these Reddit snowflakes, as apparently they look at Vara and see an alt-right Austrian painter sympathizer. Don't ask me why, I'll never know. Nobody ever says why. Nobody ever brings up examples of anything. Meanwhile, she's been one of my favorite channels to check out when it comes to news in the industry, as she keeps it chill, professional, and doesn't give into extremism. But at the end of the day, that's really how it is, isn't it? At no point did anyone present any examples of this so-called fascism. This guy's Twitter page is open for everyone to check out. This is the type of stuff that Marek engaged with online, and that the Reddit moderators were so appalled by. No examples of the community growing to become toxic and hateful and all this nonsense, just hashtag trust me bro. It's very hypocritical and ironic that they call him a fascist for asking people for their opinions, for putting up polls for people to freely vote on social media, and then taking action based on the results for that poll. Do these people even know what fascism means? Meanwhile, they're the ones who are not only banning him from the subreddit, but also all the others associated with him, despite admitting that they are great people, and not just that either, but also banning all links and screenshots coming from X, Facebook, and Instagram. This looks a lot more like fascism, getting rid of people, silencing opinions, spreading lies, banning people from sharing their opinions and information, censoring opposing views, lumping others together as well. It's always been a fascinating phenomenon to witness far-left people running around calling others fascists and alt-right, while being the ones pushing for the removal of things that they didn't like or approve of, under the guise of tolerance, kindness, representation, and other nonsense. And over there, it's actually under a guise, because when put into practice, it truly doesn't work, nor is it representable of reality. When they try to uglify female characters, for example, under the name of representation of realistic body and beauty standards, they're just being misogynistic by making the claim that women are ugly and that beauty is something evil and to be demonized. If a woman is beautiful and likes to apply makeup and wear dresses that accentuate her body and embellish their natural beauty, they are making the claim that that woman is a mere sex object, existing solely for the male male gaze. It completely takes away the autonomy from the woman in question, the right that a woman has of wanting to look her best. At the same time, it's the same ideology that touts that women are free and independent to do whatever it is that they want, except when it comes to that fault in the programming where you're only free to do whatever conforms to the ideology. If you're a woman and you want to wear whatever you want to wear, or hell, if you are a developer or an artist and you want to present attractive characters, you are no longer protected by this ideology as an independent woman or an independent artist or whatever. You are now a part of the problem. This is a wholly inconsistent mess, and that's not to mention when the real goals of their nonsense are hidden. For example, uglifying women supposedly for the aforementioned reasons of realistic body and beauty standards, except it's not the realistic body and beauty standards for women, it's just for the sake of further blurring the lines between biological sex and transgender sex. It's an ideology that, under the guise of all the aforementioned bullshit, poses as defenders of women, upholders of female rights and feminism. But of course, as usual, it's all bullshit, because all it takes is for a trans woman to show up on the scene and suddenly this feminism must bend to accommodate them, otherwise they just call them TERFs. That's what happened with J.K. Rowling. Everyone was all over her and her progressive ideas of wanting to make Dumbledore gay and all of that stuff, but as soon as she spoke in defense of actual female rights, basic stuff, like literally just the right of a woman to feel safe in a female space like a bathroom or locker room, these people bolted and turned against her, didn't even bother to draw a reasonable line out of concern and understanding for women's safety, not even bothered to acknowledge the very real danger of men, and I mean actual men, who are predators, putting on a wig and using their transgender privilege to follow a woman into a bathroom without anyone being able to do anything about it at all because of it being culturally wrong to assume that that person is not a predator, because of it being culturally wrong to think that there is something suspicious about a guy that just straight up looks like a guy wearing a wig following your mom or your sister or your friend or your girlfriend or your wife or whatever into a bathroom. It is culturally wrong to do so, so we must swallow that in and just hope for the best, like, boy, I sure hope nothing bad happens. But nope. They looked at these concerns from J.K. Rowling and they demonized her and anyone that agreed with her completely for valid concerns that aren't against trans people, concerns that simply deemed that perhaps there should be a bit more scrutiny and regulation in regards to this topic. Perhaps we shouldn't be simply throwing women under the bus for the sake of very lax and very stupid self-identity laws. And perhaps we shouldn't blur the lines or eliminate this clear gendered language between both. Meanwhile, Marek Tymiński's posts and polls catering to the player base, where are they under the guise of? Where's the guise? Where's the double meanings and the inconsistent values? Where's the ideological push or the double standards? Dude is literally just asking his community for feedback on gameplay elements, and of those elements, the ones that were politically charged were not because he made them politically charged, it's because those politics have been ham-fisted into the fucking industry. It's all around us now, it's unavoidable. They pushed and they pushed and they pushed, and now that people are pushing back, suddenly it's fascism. Suddenly it's us creating the problem. Suddenly it's us bringing up divisive contemporary political issues and taking a side. Suddenly it's us who are the problem, making a big deal out of nothing. Suddenly it's literally just video games. Like, damn bro, we were just fine and dandy over here enjoying some games until this garbage got so insanely overt and unbearable that we couldn't ignore it anymore. As far as I can see, this is just a CEO trying to get an idea of what to do with his future games. If only more were like him in the industry, maybe we wouldn't be where we are now. But I mean, who am I kidding? This is a whole other song and dance when it comes to AAA studios and their corporatization. The people they get into business with, the investors and their demands, it all plays into it. These companies want to enforce politically charged and divisive stuff into the games in the West. In the meantime, many of these companies which are actually from the East, like from the Middle East and China, outright ban these same elements from their games. But that's a matter for another video where we'll be talking about the aftermath of Dragon Age Veilguard and the feeling of betrayal from the shills like Unifade Walker, who delusionally believed that these companies actually gave a shit about them just because they put up a token trans director in charge of burning the Dragon Age franchise franchise into the ground. Until then though, that's it from me today in regards to this. Support this dude's games, they're pretty good. I played the first Lords of the Fallen back then, and I already kinda liked it. I was pretty bad at Souls-likes though, so I didn't finish it, but obviously going back to it now, it's a bit harder. The game still looks pretty good, especially if you play it on PC, but yeah, it shows its age. Not even in the usual way, but more in the way that they wanted this game to look like an ultra-polished Souls game, I think, like one that looked amazing and that was super well animated. At least that's the vibe that I get from it, and the problem was that the animations were so smooth and detailed that it ended up hurting the game a bit, because sometimes you would swing a weapon and it would take 3 to 5 business days until the swing was complete. Still worth a try though if you like Souls-likes to try out. The newer one though is a completely different story. Obviously now there's a lot more competition when it comes to making Souls-likes, so this game ended up with a bit of a mixed reception at first, but they've been actually listening to the feedback from the community and addressed a lot of the issues that were called out by reviewers, content creators, and the player base, so it's definitely worth picking up now if you're an avid Souls-like player. These guys are really supporting their game. Their Sniper Ghost Warrior games are also pretty dope, especially Contracts. Well, I say Contracts because it's the most recent and polished and complete ones, but I've actually been a fan of the Sniper Ghost Warrior franchise since the very first game. I didn't even know that it belonged to CI Games until I looked it up while making this video. I'll never forget playing the first Sniper Ghost Warrior game on my old laptop back then. The game looked amazing and the bullet cam kills were just perfect. The more recent one is still very satisfying. I really like these sniper games. I also like the Sniper Elite series. Both of these have different things that make them great. I really like, for example, in the Sniper Elite, the level design is usually fantastic. Got a lot of verticality. I especially like the levels where there's like a castle or something. There was one in Sniper Elite 5 that was fantastic to play in. And in the Sniper Ghost Warrior series, I like the realism of it, but they don't go too hardcore so that it's not like annoying, but they have, for example, different weapons that serve certain missions a little bit better. They have gear that you should think about before taking into a mission that really can make a big difference in your performance, or you can, you know, choose everything wrong so that you have a little bit of a harder experience, like a more of a challenge run type of thing. Like I said in the start of the video, these are games that are usually on sale, so if you guys want to play something and you never played these games, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. With that said though, I am leaving. I have to plan a heist so that I can find money to fund that DEI concert again. Let me know your thoughts in the comments in regards to this matter, or if you've played the games from this company, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.